everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hi, nice to see you again. If you're new here, hi, I normally make travel videos, but 2020/pandemic/2021, and here we are, still in my house, however many months and years, forever later. The thing that's really been getting me through lockdown 3, yes, we are on number 3 in the UK, I'm sure most of you are UK based and you already know that and you know the struggles. But the thing that has really been getting me through this time has been reading. I've always been a big reader. I used to go to the library when I was little and take out like 10 books every week or every fortnight when I would bug my parents to let me go to the library. I know I was such a wild child. Most kids like, you know, skulking off down, like hanging outside corner shops and stuff, and I just want to go to the library. Standard me. So it's always been a massive thing in my life, and I always used to read on the tube to and from work every morning, so that would be a solid 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening at least. So half an hour of reading a day, 5 times a week. I got through my books, I was pretty good. But now, obviously no commute. My commute is from my bed to my desk over there, and that is it. And I can't really get many pages read on a approximately 5-meter journey. I've been reading at home instead, and oh my god, I've got through so much compared to what I normally get through. I was looking on my Goodreads. I normally read 25 books a year every year, and I have done for the past couple of years in a row. I've already read 12 this year, and it's March. So yeah, I'm quite proud of myself really. I think the thing that's really been making me read book after book after book is booktube and book recommendations from YouTubers and Instagrammers. Just knowing that the book that I'm picking up next is really good is motivating me to keep wanting to go. Also, I got an Amazon Prime subscription, so I'm just ordering 1 book at a time. So I finish a book, order a book, it arrives the next day, read the book, finish the book. Do you see the way it's going? It's just led me to have 4- and 5-star books back to back to back to back, which really helps to keep me motivated. Find that if I hit like a 2-star or a 3-star book, in my opinion, obviously everyone has a different opinion, I end up procrastinating, not reading the book, and it can take me months just to get through one. Whereas when I get in a bit of a roll with it, I just keep going and keep going, which is what I've done. So I wanted to talk to you about some of my favourites that I've read in the past 12 months of pandemic life, and I've tried to hold them all up at once. But it didn't really work. I think these are the ones I'm going to talk about. So have a look at the covers. Any you recognise? Any you want to hear more about? Any you've read? I'm going to try and go quickly, so not to bore you. Right, let's start with my recent obsession. This book. I've been recommended this book quite a few times, and I've seen people talk about it, and it's been on my to-read list for months and months and months. Did I pick it up? No, it's just sounded a bit pretentious maybe, Where the Crawdads Sing, but then I finally saw it recommended on Lucy Wood's YouTube channel, and I've been really into her videos lately, and I feel like we have a fair bit in common, particularly with our reading choices, and she was waxing lyrical about this book, and I thought, okay, I'm finally gonna have to pick it up. And oh my god, she was right. I just cannot believe that I did not believe the hype for so long, but oh my god, this book. Normally I'm not so into sort of lyrical, sort of, you know, long descriptions and long placemaking. I like the plot. I like it to be ticking along. I like to have characters that I can get behind, which this definitely has, but I'm mostly plot driven. But this, it just felt like slipping into another world. I cannot remember the last time before this book that I stayed up late to finish a book. I love sleep, so I don't stay up to finish a book very often, but I did with this one. The story is about Kaya, who is the marsh girl. She sort of lives out on these sort of marshy landscapes, and she's essentially abandoned by all of her family and forced to live on her own and raise herself essentially. And obviously that makes her a bit different from other people, and it's just sort of about the relationships she has with the outside world and how they treat her. And oh, you just have to read it if you want to be transported into another world. I can't recommend it enough. Probably one of my top books of all time, which is just wild. Right, number 2, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Tales from the Cafe. My sister bought me this for Christmas because she knows how much I loved the first book of Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which I think is just, yeah, it's just there. These are another transportive book. Clearly that is what I've wanted this year, to be anywhere other than in my house. This just takes you to the cafe in Tokyo, isn't it? Yeah, it is, hidden down a side street in Tokyo. The Cafe Funicular boasts many good things: good coffee, good conversation, and a friendly cast of regulars. It is just a lovely book. So every chapter is about a different person who wants to go back in time. This cafe has some magical properties where if you sit in a certain seat you can go back in time, but there's so many regulations with it that you can't go back and change the past and everything. So it's really interesting to see why these people want to go, and most of the time there is a heartbreaking or moving reason why they want to go back in time. It just warms your heart. You feel like you're in the cafe just sipping on a coffee, and it's just so like, the bits in between the going back in time are just so like sort of ordinary, you know, just making a coffee, and it describes it being poured, and it just describes the most basic sort of interactions, but it makes it just feel so warm and comforting. This book is like a nice hug. Probably not a warm hug is Margaret Atwood's The Testaments. This one is the second in the series for the Handmaid's Tale books. I also, which I think is there. Oh, this has been handy, hasn't it? This one I read over Christmas. I read The Handmaid's Tale last year as well, but to be honest, I think this is controversial. I kind of preferred this one. So if you've read The Handmaid's Tale and you haven't thought about picking this up, I definitely recommend it. If you haven't picked up The Handmaid's Tale, get that. That was another book where I'm like, oh, it's a bit of an old book. Maybe I tend to read like modern books. I'm a bit prejudiced with my book choices. So it took me a while to pick up The Handmaid's Tale, but then I loved it, obviously. It's an incredible book. But The Testaments really goes more in depth from different perspectives within Gilead. I always want to say Gilead, and Alice, my sister, always tells me that I'm wrong. It's Gilead, apparently. Different perspectives, whereas The Handmaid's Tale sort of follows one individual story, but this one tells you so many more perspectives, and the whole Aunt Lydia plotline is just so interesting and good. I would recommend this if you're interested in women's issues, what it is to be a woman, the shit that we have to deal with. Am I allowed to say shit on my own channel? I just did. One that makes you think, and it really makes you root for some of these characters. And I think the combination of the sort of Gilead regime against the sort of normal in Canada in this book really brings home that it doesn't feel as far away from reality as it should, which is scary. If you're looking for something lighter, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of my favourite contemporary authors now, because she also wrote Daisy Jones and the Six, which, to be honest, I did enjoy more than this one. If you just want like a showbiz escapism, clearly I have a favourite genre, just want to like escape into a glitzy and glamorous world, then definitely pick up a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. This one in particular is about the Hollywood icon Evelyn Hugo. She's basically one of the most famous Hollywood icons in this world, and it just sort of tells you her real story as opposed to what everyone thought about her, and it takes you through all of her 7 husbands and why she married each of them and what their relationship was really like, and it sort of tells you who the real love of her life was. And it's a beautiful story and really heartbreaking at times, and it has some really good twists in it as well. It's got everything you need: likeable characters, plots that keep you guessing, and yeah, definitely it's a bit of a beach read or an easy one, like maybe if you haven't been reading for a while, good one to pick up to get you turning the pages again. Kim Jaeyoung, born 1982. What a book! What a book! Very short one, as you can see. I was recommended this from Namjoon in BTS, you know. Yes, I'm one of those people now. This is really a a portrait of what it is to be a modern woman, but specifically in Korea. It's quite a different culture to what we have here in the UK, and I guess the Western world, whatever that is nowadays. But basically it's just how the story of Kim Jaeyoung's life and how she's sort of trodden on again and again, and she believes in this system where she's told that if she works hard and she, you know, dedicates herself at school, she'll be able to get a good job. And then she gets out into the real world and she finally realizes what the real world is like, and it isn't like what she thought it was going to be, and there is so much prejudice and men are just constantly chosen above her. And then it comes to the point where she wants kids and she realizes the sacrifices that she's going to have to make for these kids, and she doesn't want to do it, but there's literally no option. And it just really makes me think, you know, like the amount of sacrifices that women have to make in their lives for others. Definitely a thought-provoking read, and it's so short as well. You can be done in a couple of days. You have no excuse not to read this book, and RM recommended it, so it's quite cool that he's read it too. I thought I would throw in one non-fiction book. I have been reading a fair bit of non-fiction just every now and then, just sort of trying to improve my life, you know, thinking about the big things. This one I thought was really cool. It's called The Squiggly Career. I think a lot of us in the past year have been thinking about our careers, our jobs. I got a new job in the middle of last year as well, and it's just sort of given us that space to think about what we want from our careers and where we want it to go in life. And if, like me, when you hear that question, you're sort of like, I have no idea, pick up this book. It's really, really insightful. I've scribbled like all through it. The whole idea is that you write in it, you know, there's activities to fill in. I also highlighted parts that I found important, but it really takes you through a lot of like just generally good tasks to do for yourself. You know, you figure out your strengths, your values. There's chapters on confidence, on future possibilities. Just really sort of opened my eyes, and just to have someone saying like, look, you don't have to stay in the same career for your entire life. The same career for your entire career? You know what I mean? So I definitely recommend it, no matter where, at what point you're in your career. Give it a go. The Power I also really enjoyed. My sister got me this one for Christmas. It's quite similar to The Handmaid's Tale and The Testaments, but I like this one because it's sort of in a dystopian world where women have all the power, and it sort of flips male and female on their head. And to start with, you're like, yeah, woman power, but then it very quickly turns. And another one to really make you think about maybe a world where women in charge would actually not be as great as I think it would be. Well, in this situation it's quite different because these women have this sort of sci-fi mystical power that gives them like strength and sort of just physical power over men, so they sort of become the dominant sex, and it sort of shows how that power is fairly quickly abused. And definitely another one to make you think, and it's really interesting how you start off feeling one way, like empowered and cool, and by the end you're like, oh god, like almost feeling ashamed. But yeah, definitely an interesting read with some very like scenes that are very difficult to read, and a thought-provoking one for sure. Oh, my battery just died. Maybe one day I'll remember to charge my batteries, but I'll get through this one quickly. As the last book is Once Upon a River by Diane Setterfield, and this one was one that was on my bookshelf for ages and I just never wanted to pick it up. I don't know why. I think maybe the black cover just wasn't really talking to me, even though I loved the sound of the blurb. But I ended up absolutely loving this. Definitely another one where it feels like you are in the world. There's so many characters that are so vivid. It's just a really sort of story where you feel like 1 minute you're on one person's side and then the next you're on another, and you just want everyone to be happy. In the story, basically, they find a little girl who they think is dead, but turns out she's actually alive, and she refuses to talk or really communicate or tell anyone who she is or where she's come from. So the locals sort of just decide what they need to do with her and who she gets to belong to. And there have been a couple of missing children, and it's like, maybe she's your child, maybe she's your child, and people just seem to get so confused and not really know what's going on. It's definitely a page turner to find out who she really is, and then is who she really is where is best for her to end up? I don't know. You'll have to read and find out. And it's also set in the past. I can't remember, I think it's maybe like 18th century or something like that. And I love a bit of historical fiction, so I ate that one up. That was a whistle-stop tour through some of my favourite books. Let me know if you've read any of them, if I've inspired you to pick up a copy of any of these. I would love to know. Also, definitely let me know who your favourite booktubers are, because I need those recommendations to keep on coming, because I've been getting through about a book a week so far this year, and I need to keep my streak of 4 and 5-star books up. So please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And yeah, if you want to see any more book content coming up, let me know, because all I'm doing is reading. I hope you're keeping safe and sane as much as you can. I'm doing my best. We'll get there. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.